And so I looked up, I did a Google search on what is Christian virtue. You know, you get a million different answers. There's no clear, cohesive, but everybody says, follow the 10 Commandments. So what are the 10 Commandments? What are the 10 Commandments? People mouth the 10 Commandments, but at least the first 4, right, have nothing to do with morality. But they have everything to do with obedience. Arguably, the first 5. You shall have no other gods before me. Okay. And what if I do? You go to hell. Or we just kill you. Because when Moses comes down with the 10 Commandments, and some of the Jews are worshiping a golden calf, he doesn't calmly put down the 10 Commandments and go over there and say to them, you know, I believe in freedom of religion. You go your way, I'll go my way. He gets his mother, they take out a sword, and they slaughter 30,000 people that day, if I remember my numbers right. 30,000 people. And God rewards them for that. Now, that's not very nice. That's not freedom of religion. That's not right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. 30,000 people are slaughtered because they don't agree with the first commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. Oh, again, granted, different translations even have this translated differently. So some have it translated as false idols. What's the consequence of having a false idol? Well, in my world, having a false idol, living by falsehood, you suffer the consequences. You have a bad life. No. According to the Old Testament, you get killed by the messengers of God. Oh, here's the second one. This one is particularly relevant to me. You should not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. Now, what is that? No sculpture, no painting. And indeed, Jews, very religious Jews, have no painting in the house. They have no sculpture. Jews have not been artists because the second commandment says you cannot paint or sculpt. I don't know how Christians get away with it, but I guess they do. They don't pay attention to the second commandment. They skip it. They interpreted it away. You should not bow down to them or worship them, to these things that you create. But you're not allowed to create them, whether you bow down to them or not. For I, the Lord of your God, am a jealous God. Not a nice God, a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me. Now, wow. 3rd or 4th generation, the kids get to suffer because of a sin you committed. It's pretty mean. Man, is that mean. What did they do? But showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. I guess that didn't work for the Jews too well. They tried, but, they got slaughtered in spite of that love. Commandment number 3. You should not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Wow. I mean, this God, he's a jealous God. The first 3 commandments are all about him and how you relate to him. Right? And then commandment number 4, again, is all about him. He's so self-centered. Man, God is incredibly self-centered. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all the work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Not a Sabbath for you, not for you to rest, but for you to worship me. On it you shall do no work, neither you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor your foreign residents in your towns. Although Jews used to use the foreign residents to do stuff on the Sabbath. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rests on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So it's all about him. Completely self-centered. Completely self-centered. And irrelevant. 4 commandments in, there's not a single commandment that's relevant to life. And by the way, none of these are respected by Christians. So the Sabbath is gone. There's no Sabbath. It's Sunday. They take that away. The images doesn't really work for Catholics at least. And I don't know about misusing the name of the Lord. I guess they don't do that. And no other gods before me. Yeah, the Christians took that one seriously. 2 of the 4 they take seriously. The other 2 they don't. Somebody asked, does Yaron believe in objective morality? Absolutely. This isn't objective morality. This is morality by commandment. This is morality by revelation. Objective means related to reality, derived by reason, from the facts of reality. This has nothing to do with reality. This has nothing to do with reason. This has everything to do with revelation, mysticism, feelings, emotion. Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land of the Lord God has given you. You know, if your mother and father don't deserve honor, should you honor them as well? You shall not murder. Some translations have it as you shall not kill, but shall not murder is right from the original Hebrew. You shall not, or Aramaic, as the case may be. You shall not commit adultery. I don't know, is adultery on the same level as murder? I guess it is. Here, you shall not steal. Oh, here's the property rights stuff. You shall not give false witness, testimony against your neighbor. This is good. Yeah, okay. Why? And you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servants, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Now, again, I'm not going to quibble with anybody about translations, but okay. So the 2 property-related ones, steal and stuff. Of course, murdering is ambiguous. Is killing people because they worship a false god killing or murdering? Is that okay? It must be okay because God commands the Jews do it all the time. Slaughter people. Look, and now Christians will say, well, that's the Old Testament. God was really mad back then, and then he toned it down when Jesus showed up. So what is Christian morality about? Well, it's really hard to tell. But it's focused on loving the neighbor like yourself. Love thy neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus tells one of his students. And who is my neighbor? The student asks, and Jesus gives him the parable of the Samaritan. You know, the person who's just being beaten up, the person who's suffering. The person who's suffering is your neighbor. The meek shall inherit the earth, after all. The poor, the suffering, the needy, they are your neighbor, and you should love them as yourself. What about my life? You know, there's a bunch of these about Christian morality. Love, but what does love mean, right? It doesn't mean what I mean by love, right? Honesty, okay, but again, honesty, in what sense? We need to be honest in everything we do and say, fine. Sexual morality. Why is sexual morality a virtue? I mean, high up, right after honesty. I mean, Christians are obsessed with sex, purity, virginity. All these things are very much obsessed by Christians, it seems. Trust, kindness, faith. Faith, of course, is a big one. Hope, charity, responsibility, and compassion. Those are the virtues. They're not mine. Let's see, the 10 of these, the only one I think is objective is honesty. And honesty understood completely differently. Honesty is the virtue of not accepting falsehood. I think being a man of faith is somewhat dishonest because it's rejecting facts. It's placing wishes above facts. It's placing emotion above facts. But honesty is really a devotion to the facts, to reality, to the truth. It's a virtue to turn your other cheek. Not where Hombre comes from. There's no turning the other cheek. I don't believe in turning the other cheek. Somebody does you harm, you don't turn the other cheek. Somebody wants to kill you, you don't turn the other cheek. Now, granted, there are other interpretations of Christian virtues that include Prudence, which they basically took from the Greeks, which means using your mind to make good decisions. Justice, which is not, again, the same justice as Ayn Rand or the same justice that I would hold, but is more about compassion and charity, helping the needy. Fortitude, which is brave endurance. Temperance, which is controlling your emotions. All right, these are not bad if interpreted right, awful if interpreted wrong, but nobody can agree. But then there's other virtues. There's chastity, there's temperance, charity, diligence, patience, kindness, humility. Again, you can look in different places, find different things, but at the end of the day, what's really noble in Christianity, what's really noble in the conventional ethics that we have today, is sacrifice. It's selflessness. It's placing the well-being of the needy above your own. It's sacrificing the good, hombre, for the sake of the villainous, the wife of the Indian agent.
I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize, I know this is difficult, can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it Objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute, that man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it, and that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith.
On faith?
Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
How does objectivism differ from the philosophies that many of us have been exposed to in our youths? Philosophies based upon religions, theologians, dogmatists.
The very first difference, objectivism tells you that it is not right, it is not proper to man to take anything on faith. Religion is a matter of faith. You accept a religion emotionally or because you were born to it. You have not chosen it rationally. What objectivism will tell you is that reason, man's reason, is his basic means of survival. That is the most important faculty which he has, and he has to guide his life and make his choices by means of his rational faculty. He has to make his own choices, but he has to know how to make them. It is immoral for him to act on his emotions, to be guided by the whim of the moment. That objectivism holds as very wrong, very immoral. And morality, in fact, consists of following your reason to the best of your ability. So that rationality is the basic virtue from which all the others proceed.
My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute, by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
Tell me the value of selfishness.
Use another word, self-esteem. The value of selfishness is that you esteem yourself as a value, that you live according to your nature, which means by the judgment of your own mind, and you respect your own mind, you respect your own ability to do the right thing, therefore you respect the possibility of being a morally virtuous person, and you regard yourself as a value worth preserving. To make a success of yourself in any line of rational activity is a great virtue, and people will attack you for exercising your ability, for hard work, for consistency, for ambition, and they will want to make you feel guilty of it. Mm-hmm. That is the greatest evil, according to my philosophy.
And wait, say that again. The greatest evil, according to your philosophy, is to attack an individual because of virtue.
What I call it is to experience or act on hatred of the good for being the good. That is attacking people for their virtues, for their achievements, for anything they have which is a value, actually, not for their flaws and not for their evil. In fact, people who preach that are the ones who are mawkish about the evil people, the failures, the liars, the cheats. Everybody who is weak suddenly acquires some kind of value. But anyone who is a success has to be attacked for his success.
And look at how you have been attacked.
Oh, I know.
How you have been criticized. There are many people in this country, forgive me, in this world who think you're daft.
They don't. They want you to think that.
Using the super chat, and I noticed yesterday when I appealed for support for the show, many of you stepped forward and actually supported the show for the first time. So I'll do it again. Maybe we'll get some more today. If you like what you're hearing, if you appreciate what I'm doing, then I appreciate your support. Those of you who don't yet support the show, please take this opportunity. Go to yaronbrookshow.com/support or go to subscribestar.com, Yaron Brook Show, and make a kind of a monthly contribution to keep this going. I'm not sure when the next